Hello everyone, so in today's video I am going to be doing my July wrap-up and my August TBR. So I'm just going to address that I did not complete the reading rush, and it makes me very sad, but the only challenge I didn't complete was read a book and watch the movie. So I mean, I guess I'm proud of myself for completing all the rest of the challenges, but I really wanted to finish and I didn't get to finish doing daily vlogs, but that's okay, there's always next year. But I ended up not being able to because I had the opportunity to go and spend some time with my boyfriend, who I don't really get to see very often. So I was like, okay, I guess I can stop reading and go hang out with you. So that's why I decided to do it. But I actually did get a lot of reading done this month, and I'm really proud of myself. I'm really not the fastest reader, but I got in total about 5 books done. And I say about 5 because I DNF'd 2 of them, but one of them I read halfway, and then the other one I read more than halfway and kind of just skimmed towards the end. So I count that as read, kind of, because I mean I got the gist of what happened, but yeah, so let's get started into the July TBR. So the first book that I have, and I actually don't have it with me because I borrowed it from my library, is the Night Circus. So I actually really enjoyed this book to begin with. I thought the plot was really interesting, and the scenery and the setting and everything, I thought that was going to build a really good story, but in the end I just really couldn't get into the characters, I couldn't get into the story, and I just really wasn't very involved. So I ended up giving this, I have my journal right here for all of my reviews, but I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. And I think one of the reasons was maybe I just read it at the wrong time, but I mean, I liked the setting, I liked the descriptiveness, I liked the flow of the writing, but overall I just really wasn't a big fan of the book, so that's why I got a 3 out of 5 stars from me. So the next book that I read was Truly Devious, and this book was so good. It instantly became a new favorite of mine. I gave this 5 stars. And this book is basically about Stevie Bell, who gets accepted into Ellingham Academy, and that is a school for people who have select talents and interests, and they're kind of like prodigies, I guess you could say. But basically she is given the task to solve the mystery and the kidnapping that occurred in 1936. And it was the kidnapping of Ellingham, the man who founded the school's wife and daughter. So they've never been found, and the person that they found guilty really didn't do the actual crime. So it's all about her trying to figure it out. She's a true crime junkie, and the writing was really well paced. I never really got bored. I never got to a part where I was like, okay, like let's move on, you know. Everything had its purpose, and I really liked the characters. They were a really dynamic group of people, but I'm not going to go too in depth because I will have a review going up on my channel in a couple of days. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing more about that, just tune in when that video comes out. So naturally, I loved Truly Devious so much that I decided to pick up The Vanishing Stair, which is the sequel. And I loved this one just as much as Truly Devious. I also gave this a 5 star. And this one was a little bit different. It had, of course, the same concepts, the same characters, but they did introduce some new characters who I actually really enjoyed. I thought they brought a good dynamic to the story, and this one was just as well paced, it was just as well written, and there was a lot of twists and turns and huge reveals and plot twists, and this one was also a really fun ride. I read this in about 2 days. But this is actually what I started off the reading rush with, and all of the rest of these that I'm going to be mentioning did complete the reading rush, besides watch a movie and read the book for me. But this was read a book in the same spot the whole time. So the next book that I read in July was The Cruel Prince, and this was another one that I obviously read during the reading rush, and I did not enjoy this book. I got about halfway through it and then just decided to skim the rest and read the last 2 chapters. There's a lot of reasons I didn't really like this. I do go into detail on it in my, I believe it was my day 3 reading rush vlog, maybe? I don't know, it should have it in the thumbnail, but Yeah, there was just a lot of abuse going on in this book, and I knew a relationship was going to come out of that abuse, and that's just something that I'm really not a big fan of, and I don't know how it turned from that into love. And yeah, I just really wasn't a big fan of this book, and so I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And this completed the challenge of read a book you meant to read last year. So the next book that I read, and I kind of forgot to count it in my overall count, but it was Buni, Happiness is a State of Mind, and this was just kind of like a comic graphic. It doesn't have any words, but there is story that goes on throughout the book. And I read this for the reading rush, and this completed the challenges of a book with purple on the cover and 5 or more words in the title, and an author's first book. So a lot of the challenges got completed with this one, but this of course was a really fun read. I gave it 5 stars. It was super easy. It took me about 10 minutes to read. But overall, this was just a really cute and fun story. So the next book that I read is another one of my instant favorites. I read a lot of good books in July, but this is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. And this book, oh my gosh, I flew through it. I read it in a day and a half, and this is a pretty large book. It's about like 420 pages, and that's really good for me to read that in a day and a half. But I loved these characters, I loved their dynamic, I loved the monsters, I loved the way that their systems worked, I loved the worlds. And I really liked 3 different types of monsters and how they were described. I loved the writing. It was not too simple, but it was simple enough to get the story going and have a well-paced story. But yes, as you can believe, I did give this 5 out of 5 stars, and this completed the challenge of read a book that's featuring a non-human main character, because one of the main characters is a monster. So now moving on to the August TBR, I'm going to be discussing the books that I'm currently reading right now. So I picked up our Dark Duet. I'm not too far into it. I actually just started it today. But this is also by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the Monsters of Verity, I believe, series. And it is the sequel to This Savage Song. And this one, I barely got into it, but a lot of people say that it is just as good as the first one. And I'm really excited to read and dive back into this world and with these characters and just see how the story develops. So at the same time, I am reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone / Philosopher's Stone, and this is the illustrated edition. And for this, I'm just putting it on my nightstand and reading 1 chapter before bed, because it's kind of like a little storybook, you know, to read before bed. And I thought that it would be a really fun way to read this story and just kind of read it throughout the month. But I, of course, am loving this. I know it's going to be a 5-star, but I actually haven't read it in the illustrated edition yet, so I'm really enjoying how this is going so far. And I put on my ASMR rooms and just, of course, pick a Harry Potter room, and it's just really lovely experience. So the next book that I plan to read is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And this is another one of those books that I don't know why I've waited so long to pick it up. Everyone's raving about it. I really want to read this so I can get to Crooked Kingdom, because so many people are talking about how awesome it is. And I have no doubt that I'm gonna love this. I'm really sad it's taken me so long to pick this up, but I'm gonna get to this as soon as I finish our Dark Duet. And the last book that I'm planning on picking up this month is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. And this was I've actually heard this recommended by Brittany the Bibliophile on YouTube. She said that she really enjoyed it. It was a really cute and fast-paced story, and I'm really interested to get into it. I'm not sure exactly the genre, it just says fantasy, and I read the back and it was really intriguing to me. And yeah, I'm just kind of excited to dive into a new world and invest in this story as well. So that is my July wrap up and August TBR. I had a really good reading month for July. I read tons of new favorites, and I can't wait for the 3rd book in the Truly Devious series to come out. I'm super excited for that. But overall, I had a really good reading month, and I'm really excited for August's TBR because I have some solid books on there that I know are probably going to be 5 stars for me. And it might change a little bit, but for now, that is my TBR, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you like my content.